I'm here with Janine Puses, and she is 25 years old on her first pregnancy, and she is 39 weeks today. And we're going to talk to her just to see how the pregnancy is going and what her expectations are of delivery. And then she's going to get back together with us in a couple of months from now with her baby, and she'll talk about how the delivery went, and we'll just hear from her in a couple months. So I'm really excited. So Janine, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm really good. So tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am 25 and I've been married to my husband for 2.5 years. And when we first got married, we talked about, when do you want to have kids? And my husband said, I need to have 2 summers with my wife, just the 2 of us, before we get pregnant. So the second summer was this past summer, and sure enough, we got pregnant in June.
Perfect. Well, I guess a little early, so you couldn't drink over the summer, but...
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So we've known each other for about 4 years now with a baby on the way, so it's a pretty exciting time for us.
That is exciting. When is your due date?
My due date is March 20th.
Perfect. Beautiful. Yeah, that's right around the corner.
Yeah.
So what are you sort of, I guess first I'll ask, how has your pregnancy been?
I get this question asked a lot, and, every time I just say that I've been so blessed to have a very, very smooth and easy pregnancy. I hear all these stories from other women who have had horrible morning sickness or just general nausea all the time, and I didn't actually really experience much of that. I had a little bit of nausea and just like discomfort with bloating towards the beginning, but never puked. Didn't really have any trouble with that at all. I mean, I think like my biggest complaint this pregnancy has been there've been a couple nights when I can't sleep. But I mean, if I can't sleep, that's like the worst, right? So
yeah, that's not too bad.
Yeah. So I've had a really smooth pregnancy, no complications, and feeling very, very grateful for that.
Fantastic. Now, I know you're friends with Virginia Hendrickson, who I also talked to. She recommended a doula. Do you have a doula?
I do also have a doula, per her recommendation. I decided to look into them after hearing about her experience. And so I had set up a couple of interviews with a couple of ladies, but it kind of just worked out where one of the ladies couldn't do it anymore. So I just met with the one and we hit it off right away. And one of the little tidbits of advice that Ginny had given me was, just make sure you really connect and vibe with this person well, because you're not going to want to hire someone who grates on you, especially when you're like in labor.
Yeah.
And her name is Sarah, and Sarah and I just hit it off right away. Great sense of humor. She gets me, a very calming presence. So I am looking forward to having her there when I do actually go into labor.
Wonderful. Good. Now, what has been, if there's been anything, I know you haven't had nausea, just a little bit of bloating, and now you probably, you're not sleeping as good, but that's preparing you for when the baby's here, because you won't be sleeping very good. But is there anything that sort of surprised you about pregnancy? Maybe how great you feel, or how strong your hair is, or has there been anything that actually was surprising?
I tried to go into my pregnancy like relatively expectation free, just because I knew that I didn't know too much about pregnancy, but I know that every story is different and every woman's body is different. For me, I think it's just been, kind of a bigger transition for me emotionally and mentally, looking at my body and seeing all the changes.
Yeah.
And seeing my pre-pregnancy body, but knowing that it's all for a good cause.
That's right. Okay, so more of like a physical change.
Yes. When you walk past and you look at yourself and you're like, oh my gosh, I look that big from the side.
Yeah, that must be surprising. I mean, you go through life with this kind of vision of yourself, which you always wonder is that how other people see you as well, because you can't really see from a third person perspective. But yeah, this is the one time I tell women, every time you step on the scale, it's going to be higher because
Yeah.
the whole 9 months, I mean, in the beginning, maybe not so much, but then you're
Hmm.
basically gaining about a pound a week. And
Yeah.
when you've gone your whole life trying to fit into, the clothes that you have and not trying to gain too much weight in general, this is one time where weight gain is sort of like an expected and a good thing, but it's still a shocker when you're, 20, 25 pounds over what you've been for the past, your adult life.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And, another thing too is, so first trimester, I felt, just a little bit bloated, kind of tired and lethargic. Second trimester, I had a burst of energy and I felt awesome. Then back to third trimester now, especially now towards the end, I just feel so fatigued all the time from doing nothing.
Right.
That for me, like I want to get up and I want to do things all the time. So I'm still trying to do stuff and keep busy. But I mean, I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel so lazy because I feel like I'm getting tired doing nothing.
Yeah, well, they say, your lung capacity is shortened, so just climbing the stairs is like
Yeah.
puts you out of breath.
Yeah.
And that's a whole little person that is basically feeding off that energy, your calorie stores, and everything you have, basically. So,
Yeah.
if there was ever a time where you're sort of like living and breathing for two, it's really now at the end because, that's a decent amount of like another human body within you that you have to keep, going. Blood flow and everything. It's you're burning a lot more calories now, for sure.
I was remarking to my husband the other day that I never understood why pregnant women were so ready to have their baby towards the end. Like you hit that 37, 38-week mark and you're just ready to have this baby. And I never really understood that. Now I do. Like, this baby could come today and I'd be totally happy with that.
Good. And you really have made it all the way to term. Did you have any scares or preterm, labor? I'm sure you're having Braxton Hicks, but anything concerning?
No, everything's just been smooth sailing, so no scares or anything like that. So just kind of hoping he's cooking inside and ready to come out soon.
Yeah, any day now.
Yeah.
So, what is your hope for your delivery? Do you have a picture in mind?
Obviously, I would prefer it to go fast.
Definitely.
I know that's like totally beyond my control. I just, whether it's long or short or whatever, I just would like it to be complication free, and I would prefer to go natural. So that's my ultimate goal. I talked about my birth plan with my doula and we kind of discussed that. And I am not against an epidural, but I do want to try to go as long as I can without going that route. And then, but I mean, if I get to a certain point where I'm like, oh my gosh, I need something, then I'm not opposed to that at all.
Okay. That
Yeah.
sounds good. That sounds great. Did you go to any classes or anything for, some techniques to help prevent labor pain and
Yeah, so we took this day-long class at the local hospital that was like a childbirth, newborn preparedness slash breastfeeding, labor delivery class. Kind of covered just like everything. So we talked about breathing techniques and all that good stuff. So it was good for me because I felt like I knew some of this stuff already, but it was a good refresher and a little bit more detail. Plus, having my husband there was really awesome.
yeah.
But then also it made me very thankful that I do have a doula. Not that I do not trust my husband, but he's obviously never done this before. I've never done this before. So having someone there who can like coach me on how to breathe and how to push, and then he can just be there to like hold my hand.
Yeah,
It kind
definitely.
of off. Yeah.
It takes the stress off of you a little bit from having
Yeah.
to remember what do I do when I have back pain? I don't really, remember that wall sitting technique.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so that's good. Do you feel like you've forgotten some stuff, or was it just around like just the other day? Or do you feel like once the pain comes that you might not remember all these things?
Yeah, I feel like it's just gonna happen, and I'm just gonna be like flying by the seat of my pants. Like we went through all these breathing exercises, and I sort of kind of remember, but
Yeah.
it's not like I went back through my papers and like have been practicing them.
Yeah.
So I just feel like we'll just kind of take things as they come, let it happen, try not
Perfect.
to worry too much about it because I'm trying not to just stress and think like, oh my gosh, I have to remember to breathe this way or whatever. So,
Yeah, good. That's the way to
yeah.
be. That's great. Now, what are your plans for feeding the baby once he's here?
Breastfeeding. That is
Okay,
my goal.
great.
Yeah. So,
And do you have like what kind of goodies do you have? Have you purchased a breast pump? Do you plan on just, breastfeeding alone for the first, couple of months?
yeah, so I do have a breast pump from Medela. Um, but yeah, the goal is just to breastfeed and, fingers crossed it works out. I know sometimes it doesn't, but yeah, I don't really have like a set, clear plan for what's going to happen because I feel like, so many moms they have like their idea in their head of what they want to happen and it doesn't always go that way.
Right.
So I'm trying to stay as open and flexible as I can about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Um, I do plan on returning to work just very, very part-time. And so it'd be really awesome if, baby boy could take a bottle of my breast milk. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see
Okay.
how, yeah.
That sounds good. When do you plan on returning to work?
Have not established that yet. So I teach figure skating part-time.
Cool.
And it actually allows me to be very, very flexible with my schedule. I don't have any students of my own right now. I'm just helping out a friend. So, we kind of talked about, me maybe popping in for like one morning a week, 6 to 8 weeks afterwards. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Okay, that sounds good. That sounds good. You'll have to see how your body feels after everything. Figure skating is quite.
Well, so and that's the thing is like, because I actually had been teaching up until about a couple weeks ago, and people were like, oh my gosh, you're still on the ice. But I was like, you don't understand. Like, I've been on the ice since I was 9 years old. It's like second nature to me. It's not like all of a sudden I took up skiing or whatever. So, and it's not like I'm out there jumping and spinning and doing all this stuff. So,
Right. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. It
yeah,
feels like walking to you.
yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I'm a horrible skater. I can't do any of that. All right. Do you have any questions for me? Anything? As I'm a labor and delivery nurse I worked in labor and delivery for about 6 years, and then now I'm a women's health nurse practitioner for the past 3 or 4. I'm going on 4, I think. So I just kind of help women prepare for pregnancy and delivery and breastfeeding in person. And now I'm starting this business online where I'll be able to help women via the internet, which is going to be great.
Mm-hmm.
And also because I find a lot of women sort of forget, they go through these crash courses, like the 6-hour all day Saturday type of thing, which is really good. But then sometimes they want to refer back, but they have nothing to refer back to. So, for those who maybe don't have a doula or would like to refer back to something, that's the whole point of this kind of course. Is there anything that you would be interested in learning or something that you wish you could refer back on? I think you're taking a really good relaxed approach because anything could happen. So it's better to be sort of open for anything.
Right. Yeah, I'm just trying to have like a positive mindset through it all. I was talking to my mom the other day and she's like, a lot of this stuff is like really mental. The more you stress out about stuff, the harder it can be, because there's so many books out there about like, oh, this is how you get your baby to sleep for longer periods of time, or this is how you get your boobs to produce more milk. And it can be very daunting.
Yes.
So, I would say if there's one thing that I am not necessarily stressing out about, but more worried about, I just really want the breastfeeding thing to work out. But I'm also trying not to like think about that too much. So,
yeah. Are you also, what was that?
Any advice that you have about just, what I can do to prepare my body for that or what to expect?
So the more you put the baby to the breast, the more stimulation of the nipples, the more milk you will produce. So that's why people with twins actually produce twice as much milk because they're having twice as much stimulation from, 2 babies at the breast at all times. So as long as you're just, if the baby is looking a little fussy before even crying, just put them on the breast, and being open to the idea of them sort of using you as a pacifier, because
Yeah.
they don't know anything that's going to relax them and comfort them but you and your body and your voice. So that just keeping them on the breast, whether just for skin to skin or even them using you as a pacifier, and even their little feeds in the beginning, all of those add up to you producing enough milk, because the body really responds to all that stimulation. So, you know, sleeping through the night, probably not going to happen because you need more stimulation of the nipples. The baby needs more food. It is such a natural process that it's sort of just, you don't have to know too much. You don't really have to think about it too much. If the baby's seemingly hungry or you don't even know what's wrong and the baby's just not comforted, put the baby on the breast, and that'll all help you produce enough milk, and it's going to help the baby keep their body weight and get enough nourishment. Continue to take your prenatal vitamin. That's really important. But it really is, it's real basic. But we as 2017 millennial women, we have ideas that we think there is sort of a trick, or if I read one more review, maybe this product will be something that's going to. But really, all you need is the baby. You don't need a boppy. You don't really need any of that stuff, but you just need the baby. So I think it'll go totally naturally. And now hospitals are really great at putting the baby on the breast the first hour of life. So once the baby's born, the baby's going to be so much more awake and aware because they just went through such a huge ordeal. But after that first hour, they get really sleepy because it was so tiresome. So the first hour, if you can, if the baby's fine and everything's good, putting the baby on your chest, they'll even sort of crawl a little bit to get to the nipple. So they know what to do by natural instinct. There's some videos on YouTube I think you could even watch where they just put the baby, I think, on the stomach, and they do little crawls. I mean, it takes forever. And so I think they have to speed up the YouTube video, but they somehow get their way to the nipple and they just start feeding naturally without having to be provoked in any way. So so that would be my best advice, is just put the baby on the breast and as early as possible. And when in doubt, put them back on the breast. It's simple stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. And you'll be great.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Well, this was wonderful. I can't wait to talk to you again in a couple of months. Hopefully, it'll be a good time. We'll find a good time. And we'll hear how your delivery went and how breastfeeding is going. And we'll just kind of keep up with you and see how you're doing. And I can't wait to meet your little baby boy. That'll be fantastic.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. Bye, Janine.
Bye. The funny thing is, I feel like I've Googled signs of early labor, way too many times to count. Obviously, there's the obvious, you start contracting or your water breaks or things like that. But
mucus plug.
You hear all these different things. And I was like, I haven't lost my mucus plug yet. But the other day I had really bad diarrhea, all day. And I heard that that's your body cleaning itself out.
Yep.
And so, but I'm making myself nuts, right? Because I keep Googling.
Right. Is this it?
Yeah.
But the thing is once it's it, you will never question, there's no question in your mind.
Right. I'm the fact that I'm Googling this means I'm not.
Right. But that's okay. All right. Wonderful, Janine. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
It was really nice to meet you. Good luck with everything.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You.
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
All right.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.